What's up, world? Jeff here. Look, I'm on vacation. Well, sort of. It's been a working vacation for sure. I'm up at our place in central Utah, and it's kind of like out in the country, a little bit of a more rustic, rural vibe, and really trying to lean into that with my lack of shave and just general dishevelment. Looks like some people popping on. Appreciate seeing everybody here. What's up, Carol? What's up, Nate? What's up, Cameron? What's up, Landon? What's up, Diana? Lots of wonderful, wonderful humanoids joining me. Ginge, what's going on? Anybody who saw my post earlier knows I'm having a day. What can I say? I'm having a day, but I've had the fighting spirit. I've been powering through. If you saw my post, it was in this chair, and I was just conked out. But I have pushed through. I've actually gotten a lot of really, really good work done today. What's up, Mark? What's up, Jeff? What's up, Joe? Appreciate you being here. Gosh, I appreciate it. I see tons of hearts. Guys, I'm going to ask you straight up, share this. Share this world. Hey, Mark, appreciate that. I'm good. Austin, thank you for saying that. So yeah, guys, today I've been tired. I've been beat. I might have partied a little too hard last night. We're up in the country, kind of a chill vibe. We were just hanging with our sons and their friends, and we stayed up too late, and we just had too much fun. So yeah, it's been a tough day, but actually, if I really, it's so satisfying. Here's the thing about a tough day. If you execute on a tough day, the satisfaction that you will get when you look and you go, not only did I do that, but I did it on a day when just being awake or just sitting in the same place and not moving around and feeling anxious. But for whatever reason, we have these days, right? And the fact that you create and you deliver value and you execute even on a bad day is so rewarding. Now it's 4:11, and I'm able to look at the body of work that I did today and just smile and go, you know what? Today was a crap day, and I still executed. What does that mean I have in store for tomorrow? What does that mean I have in store for me on my better days? It's so satisfying. That's every time in life we have pain, we have challenge, we have struggle. I think we have opportunity to prove to ourselves what we're really all about. We have opportunity to prove to ourselves what we're capable of, because what we do when we're not feeling it ultimately becomes the foundation of our lives. Because if you're always just waiting to have days when you feel it, you're going to do a whole lot of waiting and not a whole lot of working. Carol says, my new YouTube channel is called Good Days and Bad Days. Now, what would be amazing, and I think that's so cool, Carol. First of all, congratulations. Way to take action. Way to create a YouTube channel. Way to just draw a line in the sand and say, I'm doing this. And I hope that to honor what you're doing, you will post on your good days and you will post on your bad days. Like Jeff said, no one ever left the gym feeling regret. And by the way, I hit the today too, even though I wasn't feeling it. Christian, what's up, my man? Appreciate you being here. Sarah, thank you for the share. Ashley, Taylor, Tim from the gym. What's up, my man? Appreciate you being here. A lot of just inspiring people showing up. Jen said, I had a bad day, but I faced it and dealt with it, and now I feel better. A bad moment is an opportunity to feel better. When you feel good, it's hard to feel better. But when you're not, it's so easy. It's right there. Just do a couple little things. Make yourself feel better. And how satisfying is that to know that life can't stop you? The subject for today's live is actually about closing a business. And man, talk about a bad day. It's a bad day when you have to close a business. And I'm not going to go too deep on closing a business, because I like to keep my content pretty broadly relevant. And I know a lot of people aren't closing a business right now, but at the same time, a lot of people are. So I at least want to touch on it. And let me just tee up the strategies here, because you know, if you've been in my world for a while, you know, I go live, I do these lives periodically, but we got really intentional. This is a challenge. This is a challenge with doing hard things. You do like a damn hard thing. There was a time my first hard thing was just going live. It was just hitting the live button, realizing, okay, I'm live. I get no do-overs. I get no repeats. I can't go back and edit anything. I will be judged. I will pass or fail simply based on my performance in the moment. It's just like being on stage, right? Most people are terrified to be on stage. It's the single biggest fear that most people have. By the way, I see my friends golf couples coming on. Appreciate you guys being here. Most people are terrified to be on stage. It's like more terrifying than death for most people. And yet it's the same dynamic when people go live on the internet. So I get, you know, there was a time when just doing this one time was a terrifying thing. But then you do the hard thing and you're like, okay, now what? Well, shit, I guess I got to do it again. Then you do it again. And you're like, okay, well, you know, it's like they say in investing and trading, you know, once is an occurrence, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a trend. You want to establish a trend, you want to establish some momentum in your life, do something 3 times. So go live 3 times. Now you're actually a person who goes live, not just a guy who went live. Do it 3 times. If you've never done this, by the way, do it. Like, do it as soon as you're done watching me do it. Hell, drop off now and go do it yourself. See what it forces out of you. See how developmentally productive it becomes to start putting yourself on display and force yourself to have ideas, verbalize ideas, and focus. And this is how you win every time. Focus on delivering value. Austin, I don't know how to respond to what you just said. Somebody just posted on Instagram. They said, I'm smarter than my dad because of you. I don't know if you're smarter than your dad or not, but I'm going to say if you're smarter than your dad, it's because of you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that I've been a catalyst or an encouragement, but my man, whatever you've done, you did. But yeah, so go live 3 times and then you become a person who can go live. Go speak on a stage 3 times and you become a person who can speak on a stage. But then what do you do from there? So my first year, and by the way, like I'm sharing with you the foundation of a really, really big badass business. Like in the last 2 years, simply from going live, everything I do now had its origins in just my decision, my frustration. Honestly, it's my frustration with the world around me. And a decision that if I wanted to have any impact on the world around me, I needed to do one of a handful of things. Either I needed to publish a book and like actually get it with a publisher and get it distributed. And that was something that I had in the plan, but I knew it wasn't the right place to start. Or I needed to run for public office so that I could actually make an impact on policy and, you know, impact the direction of the world. But I'm not sure that's something I ever want to do, but it certainly wasn't the right time for that. Or I could just start a conversation to the world, leveraging this amazing technology that allows us to put ourselves out there in a big, bold, and beautiful kind of way that's scary as hell, but eventually builds you. It eventually grows you. I do not play golf, but I mentioned that because I have some very good friends that are really passionate golfers, and they travel all around the world playing all these wonderful golf courses. And I'm pretty sure they're on watching right now. That's why I mentioned golf, but I'm not much of a golfer. And if you've ever seen me, like, you understand why I'm not much of a golfer. But you start doing the hard thing regularly, and a couple things happen. One, you get confidence in your ability to do the hard thing, whatever the hard thing is. 2, you have to keep pushing yourself, because you actually, once you do hard things and you overcome hard things, for me, I mean, when I say you, I'm sharing my experience. I hope that's a given. But once I do hard things and I overcome hard things, I love the feeling of satisfaction from having done the hard things. But where do you go from there? You crave more of it. So you have to level up and do even harder things, right? That's why I love the gym. But how else do you do that? So after 2 years of going live, consistently producing a ton of content, I set an intention that for the last quarter of this year, I was going to go live every day, Monday through Friday, at roughly the same time, somewhere between 4 and 5. It's too strict for me to say every day, right at 4, I'm going to go live. But hold on. So instead of having an emotional response, I'm going to boot people off my lives who I don't like. That's simple. See how you get better? If you've been on my lives recently, you know that I was getting like emotionally triggered by people that would come on and curse at me and be rude. Now I'm just like, delete, X, or boot them out. You get better. You get better in the moment. You get better at handling yourself in the moment, extemporaneously, with the pressure of being in real time. No do-overs, no 7-second delay. I'm telling you, there's something pretty wonderful about it. But so then I was like, okay, where do I go from here? I got to establish this standard, this cadence. I'm going to do it every day, Monday through Friday, around the 4 or 5 o'clock time. And I'll be honest, today was a day that I did not want to do this. I did not want to be here. But you set the bar. You set the bar. And I don't, at the end of this quarter, I don't know, maybe I'll do 2 lives a day. It's just you keep ratcheting up the pressure as long as it's productive to your development. And as long as it's doing the feedback to know that it's pushing you to get better. And I think that life, the quality of our life, the growth curve of our life is, to a large degree, is about how much do we seek that out. I think it's one thing to have an attitude that says, when hard things come my way, I'll do them. I think it's a whole other thing to constantly seek those things out. What can I do today that's hard? What can I do that's going to force me to get better? Because I recognize that cumulatively, the quality of my life is a direct result of the consistent, strategic, difficult things that I push myself to do. And you can actually start to develop a fear of consistency, a fear of inconsistency. Meaning, if I'm not overcoming hard things like every day, I start to get uncomfortable. It's like, I must not be growing, right? It's like school, I've read a lot of studies and research around the school year, and they've found that this is a really interesting statistic. The biggest explanation of the difference between academic development and progress in wealthier communities as opposed to lower socioeconomic communities, the reason why students in wealthier communities end up having higher SAT scores or higher ACT scores, getting into better colleges, and ultimately having better outcomes in life, you know what it is? It's the summers. It's the summers. Summers are the undoing of students because you get 3 months off from being challenged. And in more affluent communities, school, 8 or 9 months out of the year, essentially the challenge, the engagement, the structure of our children is provided for us. In fact, it's mandated for us by the government, right? But then 3 or 4 months every year, the summer, it's on us as parents to not only direct our children, but to pay and to invest in our children if they're going to have anything to do. And so in lower socioeconomic communities, the children tend to just hang out for 3 or 4 months every summer. They're on the streets, they're at the park, they're playing, they're entertaining themselves, whatever. And that's fine. They say, oh, let kids be kids. But in wealthier communities, the parents tend to put their kids into programs that still have some component of challenge, so that they're actually being challenged year round. Maybe it's something related to athletics. Maybe it's related to something with an art, a dance class, learning an instrument. Maybe it's a language. The point is, for 8 or 9 months out of the year, when the government is paying for and mandating school, everybody puts their kids in school. All kids are at least to some degree challenged and engaged, 5 days a week, right? But then for 3 or 4 months out of the year, they test student aptitude, student performance, student retention, all this stuff. They test it at the end of the year and then the beginning of the year. So the end of the spring and the beginning of the fall. And they find in lower socioeconomic communities where kids are not consistently challenged throughout the summers, because frankly, parents lack the resources to put their kids into challenging programs through the summers, then there's a massive decrease in academic performance between the end of the year and the beginning of the next year. So the students in lower socioeconomic communities spend virtually the first half of every school year just getting back to where they left off at the end of the previous school year. Whereas in more affluent communities, there's not such a drop off because they've continued to be intellectually stimulated and challenged throughout the summers. And so they're basically able to pick up where they left off. And so year after year, you have this stacking effect where by the time they're in high school, by the time they're juniors and seniors, the more affluent communities have way more academically advanced and sophisticated students because they weren't hitting reset every year. Well, that doesn't stop when we turn 18. That does not stop when we turn 18. As adults, when we take time off from being challenged, we decline. In fact, I would argue we decline more because we're not natural sponges. We have to be more conscientious about learning and growth and development. And that's where I have gotten so, frankly, scared of not having hard shit going on in my life virtually every day. And it's why on a day like today, when I know I feel like crap, and I feel like I'm going through the motions in a lot of ways, and I'm like, what can I do to not lose momentum? So I've learned, like, I got to call someone. Oh, I'm going to boot somebody else. This is so much easier than getting worked up about it. So I've learned that, intellectually, I got to challenge myself every day. Productively, I need to, if I'm stumbling or I'm feeling stunted, I need to reach out to people and have some sort of collaborative project where I'm literally on the phone or I'm on a Zoom and I can't just sit there and be a vegetable. I have to engage or else I'm not pulling the weight. So I called my business partner today and we powered through something together. And man, this whole day I've been like, I got to go live today. I do not feel it. I could cancel, I could back out. But no, it's like you just have to keep it on the calendar. Schedule the hard things. Don't just wait for them to come up. That's why I get up every morning and drag my ass to the gym, and it's never easy, and I always make myself do it. Anyways, so that's my rant about doing hard things. Now, this live, and actually that was meant to be my setup for like how we are doing these live. So at the beginning of this quarter, I said, okay, how can I make these harder and how can I make them better? And the way we, Jeff says I sound tired AF. I don't doubt it, man. I don't doubt it. But anyway, I said, how can we make them harder, but also how can we make them better? And the way we made them harder was we put them on my calendar every day, Monday through Friday. I'm not allowed to miss. I did miss Wednesday because I physically couldn't log into the streaming platform. But trust me, I've been kicking myself about that for 2 days. Like, I'm pissed off. My second week, and I already dropped the ball. But then, yes, and by the way, yes, Jules, real estate, brutal business. Watch my interview with Rob Lord. He's my best friend from high school, but he's doing some amazing things in residential real estate. You might really, really enjoy that. Yes, real estate is brutal. We actually peel apart all the statistics and the data that underlies the brutality of real estate. We look at the team model. We look at the way that industry really works and how it really, really, almost kind of abuses or drains people. Yeah, it's tough. But anyway, the other way we said, we're not only going to make this harder by pushing it every day, we're going to make it better by actually researching. We're going to go ahead and research our topics for the next week's live so that the titles, the tags, we can create thumbnails ahead of time and engineer the lives to get more organic traction in the platforms. So that, like, that's why every day now, instead of Jeff just going live with like, hey, what's on my mind? What am I doing today to challenge myself? How are we going to grow? Now there's like actual predetermined topics. Today, it's about closing the business. Yesterday, it was about the mindset for success, a new book. Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog. Ain't that the truth? So that's why I'm actually going live now with topics. And today's topic is about closing a business. But again, I'm not gonna like overly camp on each topic because I know that each topic isn't necessarily relevant to everyone. I have a broader audience to serve, but I want to make sure I at least touch on the topic every day. So today's topic is about closing a business, and this isn't one I had to do much research on because, for better or worse, I've closed multiple businesses. And I know that right now, this year, because of COVID, there actually are probably a record number of people that are thinking about closing their business, because unlike business challenges past, and I'm going to answer that question. Somebody asked me why I don't do the Tai Lopez method and give stuff away to get people to share. I'll answer that question, although I may end up doing it, but I'll tell you, I have resisted doing that thus far. But first, I want to say there's a record number of people closing their business right now. But I think especially for the first time in history, there's a sense of futility or almost fatalism about business, where they're like, not only am I thinking maybe I'll close, but the reasons I'm thinking about closing are things that are so outside of my control that it's pointless for me to resist. Resistance is futile. I just need to buckle and close the business. And that's because of this pandemic thing. And I get it, man. If you have a restaurant and all of a sudden, literally people are not allowed to eat at your restaurant, or you're only allowed to let so many people into your restaurant, or you have to reduce the capacity, like, how are you supposed to fight with that? That's not about just like, oh, we need a new chef, or we need a manager, or we need to upgrade our menu, or like that's like a systemic, how do I even fight against this battle? So a lot of people think about closing a business right now. I'm just going to tell you, based on my experience of closing businesses, and I've had to close a few, it is so much misery. And whatever challenges you think you're getting out of closing business, they even challenges you're going to have to deal with closing your business, which if you've never closed before, you may not have any idea how brutal it is to actually wind down a business. You could have lawsuits, you could have you can have customers that charge back their purchases, and the process, the banks, they don't care what your circumstances are. You have chargeback refund revenue that has to go out. They can pull money. They can levy money. But they can pull money out of your bank account to backstop, to insure themselves against any future charges. They can go so far as, and by the way, my friends, golf couples, wrong. They go, hey, let's look at all the credit card processing this business did in the last 6 months, and let's go ahead and pull it back out of their account so that we have an insurance policy that if all of their customers from the last 6 months were to charge back because they hear that the business is now closed, we are still covered, which means what happens to you as a business owner? They'll do it, and the bank will honor it because you have a contract with them. And if the bank doesn't honor it, then you'll essentially get TMF on it's basically the merchant processing blacklist. You'll never be able to open another merchant processor in the United States. And if the bank does honor it, now you end up with a massively overdrawn bank account that you'll have to bring current, or you won't be able to close the bank account. And eventually it'll roll over to a platform called Check Systems, and you'll never be able to open a checking account again. Massive unintended consequences if you have a business that takes credit cards. Your employees can file, wrongful termination, whether it's lawsuit, they can make unemployment leave. You can be left on the hook having to pay unemployment benefits to people that don't work for you. When they did work for you. There's just a lot to think about. And I really encourage people to really assess the scenarios and go, what's the worst possible stuff that could happen here? And is that stuff still better than what I'm dealing with in trying to keep my business open? And only if that answer is yes, should you buy the business. If you don't close the business, then what do you take it online? Find a way to take your business online. Listen, Tai Lopez and Alex Mayer. Somebody asked about Tai Lopez. By the way, I'm still going to answer your question about Tai Lopez. Why I don't just do free giveaways to get more organic virality with my lives. DeHood, no, I'm not going to pull anybody out because I honestly want to be done here in a few minutes, but feel free to post your question. I'll be happy to answer it. So Tai Lopez and I interviewed on the podcast about going business. They're one imports, linens and things, Dress Barn, Franklin Mint, and so on. They're going to these businesses that thought that they had no choice but to close, to shut and declare bankruptcy. And they're buying them out of bankruptcy and they're relaunching them online. And admittedly, it's early, but I guarantee you they're going to do well, because if you have the skills and you understand the landscape, the internet, you can businesses that are failing and you can make them succeed online. In fact, I'll give you an example. I interviewed a guy named James Altucher several ago. He said, look, if you've got a restaurant, instead of wearing yourself out trying to run the restaurant the old way, you've got a kitchen. You clearly know how to cook. You know how to produce a menu, and you know how to create food. Why don't you create 10 different menus and under 10 different restaurant names that all happen to have the same address, and post them on Uber Eats, right? And go post them on whatever the other ones are. Why am I blanking out? DoorDash. Go post them on these different platforms and let the market what company it wants to order you and an American friend create a post to create the mixed menu test, he called it. Post different menus on DoorDash and post in Uber Eats. Let the market tell you food. You've already got all the equipment. Frankly, I think it's a genius idea. I'd probably want to do it, except I don't already have a restaurant. I don't already have a commercial kitchen. I'm just saying, before you get desperate and despondent and give up, exhaust your creativity. Push yourself to find any other way to persevere, because closing a business, it will drag. You think you're dragging out, it will drag you for so long. It's so much worse than you thought. And at least try to find a way to take the wheels of your business, the moving part of your business, and into another business that's better suited for the current environment. Don't just, just scorched earth the whole thing is so brutal. That's 2 cents, and that's from the experience. I sold the assets of my agency in 2018, but I still had to wind it down. I had a direct sales business in 2016 and 2017. Did what I just said. I wanted to close it down, but ultimately I was able to keep some of the key people and evolve that and morph some of the infrastructure into what became Entre. It's one of the reasons we were able to launch and scale so fast. So just get creative before you give up. Somebody can ask a question. Feel free to post it. And if I don't get, I'm going to go answer the guy's question. And then honestly, this is probably on long enough. But why do I not just give stuff away for people to listen? Because you know what honestly is so uninteresting to me in this world is a bunch of people wanting. I find the free stuff seeking mindset to be one of the most distasteful, attractive, uninteresting, growth regressing mindsets in the world. Honestly, I don't want it for and A, I know this about myself. I won't value it. And B, there's going to be a catch. And C, any audience built of free seekers is going to be a low engagement, low conversion, low interest, low energy, low vibration audience. I do not want an audience full of people that are here because maybe Jeff Lerner is going to give me an iPad. That's how I feel about it. That's my honest opinion. I think Tai Lopez's audience, to the extent that he built it that way, I promise those aren't the people that are investing with him as fun, that's buying businesses. That's just how he built his audience so that he could flex the muscle to go, woohoo, look, I got 2 million followers, so I must be a big deal. And then there's other people that are so vulnerable, easy overs for social proof that go, oh, he's got 2 million followers. He must be a big deal. I should follow him too, even though followers were mostly people who glommed onto him hoping that he'd give them $100 or a free iPad or something. It's ick. Look, I have consultants that have told me the same thing, and they may bring me around. They may convince me that it's okay to basically just bribe people to want to hear stuff that can actually help their life anyway. But in my experience, the kind of people that have to be bribed to expose themselves to valuable information are the last people in the world that are actually going to implement and do anything with that information. And I don't do this to hear myself talk. I do this because I have found that I'm getting traction with a movement and an energy that's creating positive change in this world. And I honestly would rather have an audience of 100 people that are committed to that than 1 million people that just want an iPad. Like, do what I'm talking about, actually implement it in your lives, and you can buy yourself 1,000 iPads. Or you can hang around and hope that I'll give you one for free, which I'll probably never do. That, hey, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.